afternoon and welcome to Soto Speak. I am Sonia P. Soto. This year marks the 35th anniversary of the eruption of Mount Pinatubo, an event that transformed not only the physical landscape of Central Luzon, but also the lives of millions of Filipinos. For those who lived through it, Pinatubo was more than a headline. It was a shared experience marked by fear, uncertainty, courage, and resilience. Today, we remember that historic event through the eyes of those who documented it as it unfolded. Joining us is a respected veteran broadcaster and one of the journalists who witnessed history firsthand. Please welcome Miss Cecile Yumul. Ma'am Cecile, welcome to So to Speak. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time we're being viewed around the world on So to Speak. Good day, everyone. It is such honored feeling to be interviewed about Pinatubo because there are so many stories I haven't talked about since it happened 35 years ago.
And I'm glad we are doing this conversation today, Ma'am Cecile. And I think you're the best person to talk about your own experience, no? Kasi we all know that you were doing a lot of coverage during that period. I saw a lot of the pictures. So today, let's first ask you about yourself. So people will know about you. Before talking about Pinatubo, let us first get to know the journalists behind the stories you're going to tell us. The first question I want to ask you is, how did your journey in broadcasting begin?
In October of 1983, Tito Perry Pangan, my mentor in broadcast, went to the house to talk to me and my parents that he was putting up the first major FM in Central Luzon. And he asked if I could join him. And because I was just in my mid-20s at that time, and I was a full-time teacher of Whole Angel University, college at the time, I said, I'm a full-time instructor. And they said, no, you join me. We'll put you on a weekend show if ever you decide to join the first FM station in Pampanga. Well, of course, we can mention it, no? GV 99.1. So that was 43 years ago. That is how I started in broadcast. And then, as usual, how young broadcasters would start, I started with a weekend program, 4 hours, live in the studio. Nobody knows our faces. So they would hear our voice. And I handled a 4-hour program. It was from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening on Sundays when I was off from teaching. So that is how I started.
Everybody knows you. Once you start to speak, people recognize your voice right away, right? So 43 years is a long time to be in journalism, to be in broadcast. I must say, I salute you, and you remain an icon in the broadcast world, as far as I'm concerned. Kasi ako, I'm a late bloomer, you see. I didn't start in broadcast as early as you. I started only, 18, 19 years ago. Pero ikaw, 43 years is 43 years. And I'd like to thank you. Your staying power is admirable. And I want to ask now, what was the media landscape like during your early years when you first started as a young broadcaster, as a young journalist?
When I started, it was like women were not yet in fashion in broadcast at the time because it was the early years. And you have to remember it was the troubled times here in the Philippines at that time. So the mid-80s, when we already started doing more than that, because I wanted not just to be in a studio, but one of my passion was taking pictures, documenting things that are happening. So it started, that one, documenting started as a personal passion to document what is happening so that the future would know. And we know that pictures play a crucial role in any event. Sometimes one frame would be more than enough than a whole or pages of words. So when Ninoy Aquino died, when the assassination happened, I had my camera with me. I joined the long lines, and I started documenting the assassination aftermath. I went to the Santo Domingo Church. I followed the funeral cortege. I went to the hometown in Concepcion, Tarlac, and things like that. So the pattern of my life was Monday to Friday, I would teach as a full-time instructor because I find it relevant to what I was teaching. I was teaching literature.
Mhm.
And literature, when you look at it, are really stories from so many past. There is epical literature. There are those from the different movements that covered history, so that we will see the work of the writers as a reflection of history that happened during that time. So those were the early influences. And it turns out now, 43 years later, what I've been doing since the 80s, from the assassination to the EDSA revolution, that was another thing which we have talked about something like 10 or 15 years earlier in one of your
Yeah, yeah.
programs. Yeah, when we were ducking for cover because of the reformists. When they were advancing, we were the cover. When they were retreating, we were the cover at the back. And then
Mhm.
fast forward, the earthquake happened.
Mhm.
When the earthquake happened, we were there the day after itself when the Dig fault line in North Luzon happened. We were also greatly affected by that.
That
It was a
was in 1990.
1990, July
Yeah.
16, and it
Mhm.
happened between 4:30 and 4:45 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
I look at the clock in my office when I heard the loud explosion at the time, and they said, "What was that?" And then when
Mhm.
I went out, I already saw. No, when I went out after the loud explosion, there was a jerking movement on the left. And then just before you can recover from the jerking movement on the left, there was another jerking movement on the right. And then
Mhm.
after that, it started, going around in a circle like you were in a carousel, like it was never going to end.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I was multitasking because aside from being part of the media already as a media
Mhm.
person, even before that, I became a Red Cross instructor when we were all
Mhm.
teenagers. That was
Mhm.
1976. So you
Mhm.
can say that my mental mindset was prepared for disasters. I knew how to respond properly.
Mhm.
So during the earthquake, immediately we set up our disaster relief center, and all my volunteers who were trained in first aid, emergency rescue, lifting, and first aid distributed themselves around the campus in the university. But before even we were able to recover and finish our work for the earthquake, 11 months later, here comes Pinatubo.
Yes.
And it came earlier than June 15. Our
Yeah.
classes in 1991, June 1991 opened on June 9. June 9, it was a Monday. June
Mhm.
10, Tuesday. And
Mhm.
then Sapang Bato was already getting affected. I
Mhm.
remember at the time, Barangay Kapitan Manyalo, I think it was Maru. I think he's
Mhm.
already gone. He has passed away. Went to Holy Angel because they were aware of the disaster relief center that was
Mhm.
operating in Holy Angel since 1977. The moment I became a Red Cross instructor, I put up the Red Cross Youth Council that responds to emergencies around Pampanga and beyond when the Pampanga
Mhm.
chapter would call the Red Cross Youth Council for assistance. Uh, I'm spread out into so many
Mhm.
functions.
Mhm.
So when Pinatubo happened, we were in school. And again, on June 10, as soon as the classes opened the following day, our Operation Tulong every year is opened simultaneous when the school year opens. So that was
Mhm.
the only reason Holy Angel was ready with pre-cooked noodles, canned goods, candles, because we were anticipating, just like the earthquake, there will be brownouts, and we don't know what else was going to happen because we had never had anything as massive and destructive, and we cannot imagine how a volcano was going to hit us. So we already pre-positioned relief goods prepared by packages. Disaster preparedness and disaster
Okay.
relief operations. Hindi kasi,
Uh-huh.
it's not like you pack some goods, no. Like if you have a family, we have this list. The SWD has a list.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what my team would go and check is if the DSWD has this list, we would access those that are hard to reach because we had the means of transportation. I had the physical team. So we would go where others don't concentrate so
Yeah.
that relief will be evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Soto speak. Soto speak.
During that time, did you immediately realize the magnitude of what was unfolding? I mean,
Not
because you're saying that you actually preposition goods and everything, for some. Oh, well, of course, you were actually trained in disaster prep, right? As early as
yes.
that, because of your Red Cross experience, you have the training, and then of course you are an educator, you're a teacher, and aside from that, you have so many advocacies already at that time as a young person, and as a journalist, of course, no. But did you emit? I mean, when Pinatubo erupted on that day, June 15, of course, you said Pinatubo erupted earlier than June 15. But everybody is saying that the first major eruption that really shook all of us was on June 15,
Yes, because of
1991.
the typhoon Haiyan. Uh-huh.
Yes.
No, we actually had no idea because even if we were practicing journalists at the time, we had limited information. That is what I told Dr.
Mhm.
Chris Yuo when we met during the conference in Holy Angel. We
Mhm.
were anticipating volcanic eruptions. We were imagining it. Uh, the ones that I were imagining was what I saw in the films, but we really had no realistic idea how it was going to hit us. And then
Mhm.
when June 15 came, after the June 12, which was, we were clapping because it
Mhm.
was so, I mean, like I said in my lecture, it was fatally beautiful. It was
Mhm.
growing before
Mhm.
you. I was on broadcast when it happened. So looking outside my window while I was broadcasting, I saw the big mushroom growing with a stem, and
Mhm.
the head just kept growing. First it looked
Mhm.
like a mushroom, and then it looked like a humongous cauliflower with the
Mhm.
shapes like this, and it
Mhm.
never stopped growing.
Mhm.
But the thing on June 12, it was not raining. When the typhoon came, by June 15, when we woke up, we knew that something was off because
Mhm.
it was already raining ash, and then there were strong sounds on our roofs, and we
Mhm.
knew it was not just ash. There were already pellet-like rocks, but they were light because they were
Mhm.
already cooked by the heat of Pinatubo
Yeah.
erupting up there.
Okay. Mom says, today information travels instantly, but in 1991, journalists worked under very different conditions. No cell phones yet, no mobile phones, right? Because everything was analog. The digital age has not arrived yet. How did reporters, you as a reporter, you as a journalist, gather information before mobile phones and social media at
All
that
right.
time?
I probably had an edge over the others
Mhm.
because Mount Pinatubo Commission looked for me
Mhm.
when they gathered all of the NGOs here in Pampanga. It was going to transition to transfer from Manila, the MPRO. It was Mount
Mhm.
Pinatubo Rehabilitation Office when it
Mhm.
started under President Corazon Cojuangco Aquino. But
Mhm.
then, at the turn of the presidency, they opted to transfer it where it was happening. So they
Mhm.
looked for a place and they saw Clark Air Force Base, Fort Stutzenberg, the parade grounds, the old
Mhm.
barn houses. That is where Mount Pinatubo Commission eventually became housed. And when they met all of these NGOs and organizations who could assist, who had the means, we worked. You were asking how was communication? We had the VHF, the short band radio.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, and then my luck was because I was tapped by Mount Pinatubo Commission to be part of the commission because I could speak Kapampangan, I could speak Tagalog, and then
Yeah.
English. And
Yes.
the USAID was also working with Mount Pinatubo Commission. They asked me to be their multilingual interpreter where they were saying it in English to the Sambals, to the
Yeah.
Kapampangan, and
Yeah.
to those in Tarlac. I would be saying it in Kapampangan if need be while they were saying it in English. In the fastest way I could, that is easily understood even by your folks. I brought down the technical terms in a very realistic manner that they will understand but not panic. So that was my edge over our colleagues at the time. I had the VHF band and I had the UHF band, which is the more expensive one, ultra high frequency. The ultra high frequency had limitations to 1, 2, 3 channels because where we were working inside Clark was a lightning bolt area. The parade grounds, the Fort Statzenberg is a lightning bolt area. And the ordinary radios sometimes would not be able to get through. I think that was intended because those were the general's houses, remember?
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yes, yes.
So that was how, and then here is one thing: you have to have a good memory. You will not have time to write, so you have to use your mind as a memory recorder to what was happening, to what you were saying, and then we
So you
stick
didn't have
to the
time to write
basic
the script.
5W.
Mom says you didn't have
Yes.
the time to write the script and read it,
Oh
like
no,
what
no
you're
script.
doing now, right?
Yun nga, siguro my edge was because I was a teacher. I was teaching public speaking, I was teaching creative writing,
yes.
I was teaching theater, all the elements that you need to have, you can change faces to adapt to a situation. Even if you're in panic, but if you're in front of a crowd, you maintain your calm. So you put on another mask, and you put on another front, and you put on another tone.
Yes.
So no time to write a script, but it's very basic because we knew that you go to the PLDT, the big box where you say you dial all operator, press call please. And then you would say where you're calling, where I had to be connected to DZRH. So they would, and then will you receive this call? And then if they say yes, and then you get priority, and it was not paid. It is we don't pay. You don't put your coins and then you get cut. Everything is so accessible to the present generation of journalists now. That is why even up to now I could remember the dates, how it looked when I close my eyes. I can see the images playing back in my mind. So that is the basic difference. We trust our memory and we trust our remembrance of the most important facts: what, who, where, when, why, how.
Yeah.
Briefly, within 1 minute, if you can compress it under 1 minute, say it.
Were there moments, Mom says, when your reporting became personally difficult or dangerous for you, that your parents felt that you had to withdraw from the field, just do desk work or something like that? Did you feel threatened at all personally?
At the time when I was covering Abacan, because I was there, according to the late Dr. Punumbayan, when I gave him the pictures during a conference, not a conference, while it was happening, we all met. Secretary Director Solidum at the time was a young staff. So I was actually excited to see him again because it's been 30 plus years since I last saw him. And they were young at the time. They were the staff of Director Punumbayan. And I gave to Director Punumbayan my last shots before my 81 Canon fully surrendered from the ash. It was in plastic, but it was the sulfur was getting inside my camera. But I was still able to take the last shots when Abacan was crumbling down. Actually, many people did not know na babae, that I was a woman because I was always wearing camouflage.
Yeah, I saw
I
the
had this, yes,
photos of
I
you.
had that costume because our equipments were heavy, right? So two radios here, camera
Yeah.
here, video here, and the videos were heavy at the time, the
Yeah.
VHS alone.
It was really hard to tell that it was you because you were covered, and the camera was really big. It was heavy for a woman like you, and you were young
Yeah.
at the
Yes,
time,
and
right?
you have to remember the Manila people could not go local at the time because of the
Mhm.
physical situation. And then, well, analog, as you said, it's not
Yeah.
that fast. So it was
Yes.
us locals who were really throwing. Oh, that is another reason why I said I had the edge, because this DZRH was looking for a local.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, when Pinatubo erupted, uh, it's not entirely the fault of the reporters because they're not from Pampanga. So
Yes.
sometimes the reports of the barangay that were getting under lahar or they were getting buried
Yes.
were not correct. And it is the
Mm-hmm.
people who were abroad who
Mm-hmm.
were getting heart attack
Mm-hmm.
because of the wrong geographical location and the wrong
Yes.
places that were being mentioned. So
Oh,
DCRH went looking for a local and they
yeah.
found me.
You were familiar with the terrain.
Yes. Oh, and then I could describe it. When I was doing the lecture at the back, I was describing a spillway because I was not looking at the video. But apparently, they were able to show Sapang Bato when I went there to bring
Mm-hmm.
the masks because nobody was wearing a mask then. We take them for granted now. But at the
Mm-hmm.
time, it was so difficult to find masks
Mm-hmm.
because they were not part of our
Yes.
everyday life.
Yeah.
But those who are painting houses
Yeah.
and big buildings, they
Yeah.
had them. So
Uh-huh.
my practical mind told me I know where to look for to bring to Sapang Bato. We went to the hardware stores and
Mm-hmm.
we found them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went to Sapang Bato, it was not yet June 15. They came to
Mm-hmm.
us on June 13, and I said, go back. And together with them, I told them, go back, go back. We'll buy. Right away, we will buy what you need, and we will bring more supplies for you so you don't have to be traveling by foot. But the moment we went there on June 14, the spillway was already gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So traveling, getting back to Angeles was not that easy anymore. And then the houses and the coconut were already like this. They were heavy
Mm-hmm.
laden
Mm-hmm.
with ash. The structures were already
Yeah.
getting the weight
Yeah.
of the unexpected ashfall. That is why
Mm-hmm.
it also helped me that I was on ground zero where it was happening, even before it hit us on June 15th. At about this time, I was also broadcasting at DZFA. It's another local studio that was put up by the um, chief engineer of ABS-CBN for a long time, Engineer
Mm-hmm.
Felix Asong. He put up a
Mm-hmm.
local station, which was a blessing in disguise. He put it
Mm-hmm.
up in 1990. And then they invited me if I could help them also. It's always like that. Can I help them? I said, okay, yes, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the ground, so I know what's happening. So after the earthquake, they invited me if I could keep them updated. I joined them on weekend only because I'm a full-time teacher and I
Mm-hmm.
handle the disaster relief center and
Mm-hmm.
operations and distribution.
Yes.
So when Pinatubo happened, the lack of the Mabalacat people, because it was operating on limited frequency,
Mm-hmm.
is the people were advised not to leave their homes, but for them to push off the ash and what is
Yeah.
falling on their roofs.
Uh-uh.
That is their best safeguard from any collapse or from any danger. It is not running away from home.
Yeah.
If they have to, let the women and the children go to the evacuation site. At the time, Dr. Domingo was the mayor of Mabalacan.
Mm-hmm.
So after
Mm-hmm.
radio, when classes were already suspended after June 15, he would ask me, Ma'am Cecile, could you please go to the evacuation and talk to the people? Because if you say it, they'll believe you. So that was my routine. From actual broadcast, I'll show my face to the evacuation and talk to them in our language in Kapampangan. Ima, kayo po rin anak malakwan la. So mothers, lolas, grandmothers, please stay in the evacuation, do community kitchen, cook for everybody, not just for the family. Then we keep our men going back home to keep the houses safe.
Yeah.
Soto speak. Soto speak.
Ma'am Cecile, now let's talk about the people you met. Were there stories or people you encountered that you have never forgotten? I mean, you met them for the first time after the eruption of Pinatubo, and in the course of your journalistic work and whatever work you were doing, because you were doing so many things at the same time during that period, were there people you met during your coverage that you have never forgotten and you remain connected to them up to this day?
They were. Some were just children. And then when I met them, they were adults. And they would tell me, Mom, you don't know me, but I know you. Because I haven't changed. I have white hair, but basically,
I know.
I still look the same. I wear the same thing.
Yes.
So I said, were you my student? Usually that's my opening line. Were you my student? Because I've been teaching since as a substitute, even as far back as 1976, I was already substituted and teaching high school. So I had some students who were actually older than me when I was teaching in college. And then they would say, Ma'am, no, we were in the evacuation. You told our nanay not to leave, to stay. And for our tatang, our dad, our fathers, to go back home, back and forth, but not to leave Mabalacat or leave our houses. And I said that, Opo. And then said, yes po. And we did not leave, and that is the way we did it. We'd go to the evacuation, get fed, and we'd try to help if we could. And we did not lose our houses. And so many more instances. Because from my mother's side, I am from the Santos Olaya clan. So my prayer was, I hope there are some people who are saving my relatives while I'm trying to save other people. So in 1993 or 94, the October 1 thing, when Cabalanchang got buried.
I remember that. It's okay. I remember that. I really remember that. October 1, 1995.
Yeah. And I could not even go there because I had work to do.
Yeah.
So my prayer was, oh God, save, help. I'll keep on doing what I have to do, but please make sure that my grandparents there in Cabalanchang, from Zona 3, from whatever, ikayo na pumbala, take care of them.
Yeah.
And none of them perished.
Oh, what a wonderful
And you know what
story.
are the important things, Sonia, that I would like to tell? Please leave the AI alone. Get real with your photographs. Because when Pinatubo happened, one of the most crucial decision that would verify the people, if they were residents or if they were part of this barangay or these places that were buried, was whatever picture was left in their wallet or they carried. And then I had to confirm, I had to vouch for several persons and families in Cabalanchang. And look at this, because they could not understand that the Kapampangas are clannish. Clannish in a way that you have a big house, you have a big land, and then you had your grandparents, and then you have your mother, your uncles. When they get married, you stay here. That part is your property. Another gets married, that is your property. So I had to stand up at the Mount Pinatubo Commission, and I was arguing with the Manila people. Kapampangas are not necessarily poor, I told them. Kapampangas are landed people, especially if we're talking about Cabalanchang. Ay, nagaliwa
Yes.
ako tsura. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I,
And then,
yeah, I
you get
agree.
carried
Yeah.
away.
Mhm.
And then I said, you know why they claim that they live in this place? That how could so many families live in one compound? Because they do. And
Mhm.
you're not just talking of several square meters, you're talking about hectares.
Yes.
And then they would look at me. And I could
Mhm.
vouch for families like that, sabi
Mhm.
ko.
Mhm.
Oh.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
please, this is also an appeal to the to the Generation Z, to the now generation.
Yeah.
While you
Mhm.
get entertained with AI, how would you
Yes.
verify your real identity if they don't really know anymore how you look like? Who is
Yeah.
you? Who is the
Yeah.
real you?
Correct. Correct.
So that
Yeah.
is
That's a
one
very good
crucial lesson.
reminder. Yeah.
Sometimes we take pictures for granted. Ay, actually,
Yeah.
it's on my phone. No,
Yeah.
there is something
Mhm.
about printed copies. We've
Mhm.
seen we've seen wars, we've seen tragedies happen, but they would always hold on to one single frame that will bring
Mhm.
them through all of these disasters.
Yeah. Mom says,
Yeah.
were there moments of heroism or acts of kindness that will stay forever with you?
June 16. Oh, no, no, no. June 17, I think we were already able to bring out the relief from the collapsed
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
areas of Holy Angel. So we loaded the Anfra. You know, along the way, the people who stayed behind opened their bakeries, opened their houses, those who stayed home. You know, they were giving the people what they have. No, you did not have to ask.
Mhm.
They were feeding people, they were giving them water, there were glasses,
Mhm.
and whatever they had in their bakeries, if it was a bakery or it was a store that was open,
Yeah.
I'm sure they left some for themselves. But
Yes.
they never asked. They just kept on giving and giving and giving.
Mhm.
And then there was one funny thing here. Funny at the same time tragic because the Kapampangas know how to cook. When I was covering the collapse of Bamban Bridge, there was the
Mhm.
Abuitis farm. If you're
Mhm.
going to Conception already, it is on the left side. So if you're
Okay.
going to Angeles bound, uh, going southwards, it's on the right side. It's after the Long Bamban Bridge. That is,
Mhm.
it was a big piggery. It collapsed, and all the pigs and piglets just, it became a river. And the Kapampangan just knew what to do because
Mhm.
I asked my relatives later on from Concepcion Tarlac, did you get any of the pigs that went down to the Parwa River, to Santa
Mhm.
Rita, San Martin, and everywhere else? Oh
Mhm.
yes, they said it was smelling like fiesta for so many days.
Mhm.
In a twisted kind of way, God provided. God provided.
Mhm.
So, and they were not just keeping for themselves, they were cooking for everyone. There was
Mhm.
mass kitchen, community
Mhm.
kitchen going on.
Mhm.
And this is one other thing that the Manila people, that those who were giving relief in the evacuation, they were commenting to me because I would facilitate not only for Mount Pinatubo, for our Operation Tulong in
Mhm.
DZRH, but so many other organizations. So I would accompany them to the different evacuation centers, and they
Mhm.
would say, "Ang Kapampangan, are the Kapampangas really like this? We come here to give relief goods, and then they
Mhm.
feed us." Oh no, I said, no, 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 that's your relief.
Mhm.
So they would dismantle and open those packs of canton and whatever noodles.
Mhm.
They will not feed the people who are visiting them instant.
Mhm. Mhm.
It becomes something else. It is transformed. And do you know
Mhm.
that the Kapampangas did? Especially, I take particular notice of the Kabalanchan people, Sonia.
Mhm.
Why?
Mhm.
Because I was a media consultant for a while on PTB4, post Pinatubo na ito,
Mhm.
but the people were still in the evacuation center. There
Mhm.
was a certain restaurant that I would go to after doing my duty at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would go back to Pampanga. But before going back to Pampanga, my friend who would pick me up and bring me to the bus station would feed me in a restaurant. As soon as we approached the restaurant, look at this. There is a man bringing two baskets, as much
Mhm.
as he carry, and that they're plastic bags,
Yeah.
the heavy duty ones.
Mhm.
And the opening line is, Kabalansyan ko po, where he comes
Mhm.
from.
Mhm.
And then he would show the products. There's sumantili, there's sumanbanos.
Mhm.
Oh, but
Mhm.
of course, they're good.
Yeah.
So it was enough for the man to tell the people who he was
Yeah,
selling to,
I know. Yeah.
Kabalansyan ko po, meaning Kapampangan ko. And
Yeah,
there were
basta
laws.
kabalansyahan, oo.
Yes. So,
Oo.
and then, but of course, at the time, they could not make the Mamon Tostado yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
basically, you had the fire and you had the
Yeah.
kawa and you had
Mhm.
the leaves. So they just kept on doing this. They did not go about asking for alms.
Mhm.
They used what they knew to earn, even if they were in evacuation places. And those who were visiting and leaving the people in the evacuation relief goods, they would go back to where they are going from distributing relief goods.
Mhm.
They have with them suman banas, they have with them suman tili, and whatever the people in the local made out of
Yeah.
their own. That
Yeah.
was the Kapampangan spirit during the Pinatubo days,
Yeah.
post-Pinatubo.
It has been 35 years since Pinatubo erupted. So you witness 35 years of transformation, I would, if I may say so.
Uh-huh.
For the Kapampangans, the story did not end with the eruption. In your own experience, as you witnessed developments in Pampanga and Central Luzon, how did Pinatubo transform Pampanga and Central Luzon particularly?
What I observed is transformed, but at the same time, they retained the, they
Mhm.
retained the community spirit, even if
Okay.
they got transformed to adapt to a different
Mhm.
setup. You have to
Mhm.
remember from evacuation, they were resettled. I think
Yes.
those who are suffering disasters and are moved to from transition, evacuation to resettlement should
Mhm.
make a pattern of how the Pampangos did it.
Mhm.
If you came from one community, they together with the barangay captains and
Mhm.
dialogue, they
Mhm.
tried to retain the
Mhm.
streets, the families of where they came from.
Yeah, they
So
simulate.
yes,
They
yes,
simulate, they transfer, di ba? If they came from Parulog, they
yes,
will
yes,
recreate that old community where they came from.
yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is why when you say how did they adapt,
Mhm.
the transition was not so drastic. It was not so alienating because you
Mhm.
were still with the same psychologically, the
Mhm.
psychological impact on
Yeah.
being transferred to an alien environment
Yeah.
was not that the impact was not that drastic because you were still seeing the same people.
Mhm.
Albeit, it was dire situation, knowing the Kapampangan love for food.
Mhm.
Well, you can make do with whatever you have and make something good out of it. But the fact that you were not alienated from the environment that you knew, knowing the people, carrying with you your customs and traditions, made the Kapampangan spirit survive much faster probably than other regions where the disasters happen.
Mhm.
I'm only
Mhm.
speaking from the Kapampangan point of view because that was my routine. Because I
Yeah.
was attending meetings for the Regional Disaster Coordinating
Mhm.
Council and I would visit all of the evacuation centers, the Capcom complex, uh,
Mhm.
the Pandakaki, and all of this dap-dap, madap-dap, uh, wherever they were. So you can
Yes.
see that the people know each other and it helped a lot.
Soto speak. Soto speak.
We are hearing a lot of stories about corruption nowadays, right? Corruption left and right. Did you at any point in time report about corruption in government among public officials, for example, during the time when we were actually recovering or rehabilitating communities?
There were complaints about one resettlement site. I because they were being built almost simultaneously,
Yeah.
Madapdap and Mawake.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
there were some people who were already where there's smoke, there's no fire. So they
Yeah.
were saying that while the bakal, the support
Mhm.
inside,
Mhm.
they said that they were doing magic. Then we were
Mhm.
asked, what magic do you mean by that?
Mhm.
That they were not that thick, meaning
Mhm.
they were substandard. That's the term.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
even for a one floor house, they
Mhm.
should be thicker than that, or they should not be that uh, madalang.
Yeah.
Too few,
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
too
That's
few.
right. Yeah. Mhm.
But there was a time it was not the CBs who were doing it.
Mhm.
If I remember, right, there were other contractors doing it, and then the CBs, our Navy, Commodore Pastor,
Mhm.
came in. They were the CBs brigade, the engineering brigade of our Philippine Armed Forces. I'm a person who resigns. When I don't see eye
Mhm.
to eye, I resign. I pack up
Mhm.
and go.
Mhm. Mhm.
But uh, on call, when the president comes, I would still. So I stayed with the
Mhm.
Mount Pinatubo Commission, and just one morning, because my my resignation was rejected 3 times.
Mhm.
Secretary Alma Corazon de Leon would return it by fax machine, and she would have a side note, coterminous with Mount Pinatubo Commission. So
Mhm.
on my third attempt, I just asked my brother, please help me. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I went to pack up my things and submitted an
Mhm.
irrevocable resignation. Those who are like right now in the earthquake in Maguindanao, it is important that you are documented. When they tell you to report for evacuation, you have to be documented. This is where much of the corruption came in during the Pinatubo relocation.
Mhm.
There were those who went in who were not even part of the Pinatubo victims. And then they
Mhm.
started claiming for houses.
Yeah.
But how
Mhm.
were they able to come in? That is the big
Mhm.
question.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this is a very crucial factor. The, the Capcom complex is what we call, it's like a gateway. You have to transition there.
Yeah.
Everybody is brought to the Capcom complex, which is a
Yeah.
very, very big place inside
Mhm.
Clark. That
Yeah.
is
I've
where
been there.
everybody
Yeah.
is registered.
Mhm.
They will know where you come from. If you're from Bacolor, if you're
Mhm.
from Mabalacat, San
Mhm.
Fernando, etc., then you would be assigned. That is why we have Madapdak, we have Mawake, we have uh, the one in San Fernando, and so many
Mhm.
other relocation.
Mhm. Pulaon, no?
Bulaon, yes,
Yeah.
that's the biggest resettlement we have,
Yeah.
the Bulaon resettlement.
Yeah.
It is crucial because once you don't report and you don't have yourself documented and
Mhm.
registered, for all you know, somebody will take your place. And then you will just
Exactly.
be surprised.
Mhm.
Somebody is there who is not even your neighbor, who
Yeah,
is
it
not
happened to
even,
it happened to us, Mom says. Kasi we're from
see, that
Bacolor.
is why
Yeah.
I don't want to let this moment pass. That
Yeah,
is one
yeah.
of the
It
major
happened to
corruption
us
that
in
happened.
Bulaon. Yeah. Our names were stricken off the, the whatever records. But
Uh-huh.
luckily, my mother's name was found.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, makalunos, ala kaming ikwang bale.
Yes, yes. And
And
then,
we were born and raised
all right,
in
this is one
Bacolor,
other
right?
thing. I was offered. Do you want one house? Why would I?
Mm-hmm.
What would I do there?
Mm-hmm.
I have the old house.
Mm-hmm.
You can have one. No, that's
Mm-hmm.
not right. Then they
Yeah.
know. I mean, when I look
Mm-hmm.
at people sitting there, no, then they know I mean it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I was not the only one offered.
Yeah. Mom says, let's now go to lessons learned that you can share with young journalists, with young people who are interested to be, to be journalists or communicators in the future. How did covering Pinatubo shape you as a journalist and then as a human being, as a person?
First, as um, as a person being heard, as a source of information, you have to be calm when you report. I'll give you an instance. When at one instance, I received reports from the OCD and the RDCC, Regional Disaster Coordinating Council. You have to have discernment, discretion, and presence of mind. There was an expected 30 to 40 feet lahar that was going to pass through Pasig Potrero. So I was looking at it, and it was nighttime. I called the news center. Instead of telling you story, I'll just tell you how it works in a real situation. Reggie Espirito was at the news center. Reggie, check your facts from me. That is the fact that tells us what lahar is expected to flow. Please give me stretch time, like call me back every 5 minutes, but I will not give it straight. So if it is 30 to 40 feet, my first report will be there is an expected 10 to 15 feet that will come to us. We are used to that already, and we can manage. And then call me back. Give the people enough time. So as a reporter and as a Kapampangan, I already know what is coming. But to me, I have to keep the people calm because I was the voice that relied on that they have to believe that what I say is factual. It is to help them. It is to prepare them to go to safety and not become an alarmist.
Yeah.
So that's one lesson. Never be an alarmist. Don't do things out of proportion or don't report in exaggeration. If you can, try to minimize the urgency. Because if you make high drama when you're reporting, that is escalating. What should calm down the people will trigger panic. And, things beyond imagination. Of course, there is technology now. There is live reporting. There is live video, which was never present at the time. But more importantly, never forget your 5 W's. Sometimes they report and they keep on talking. When did it happen? What time? To whom is it happening? Where are you reporting from? What time did it occur? Give your basic facts first. Establish. That is very important. And above all, keep your memory intact and real. Because not all of the time is you can have a piece of paper and write it down. Your mind is one awesome memory, endless gigabyte. So keep them there. But with technology now, they could just attach something here, and I could tell you about the Bukawi tragedy. I can tell you about EDSA revolution. I can talk to you about the assassination of Dinoy and the other things in Pinatubo and its aftermath. But now, with all of your gadgets, you still rely on your own memory and stick to facts. But above all, be respectful. Be respectful, regardless whether you're talking to a magnet or you're talking to an apo or a grandmother, a grandfather, or a barrio folk. The same level of respect. There should be enough humility in you. Because when they see and they can sense how you are, sometimes you get more information than what you ask.
Mom says, it seems to me from, the message I'm getting from you is, it seems your experience in Pinatubo made you a better person. You emerge a better human being. You became more, would you say you became more empathetic, stronger, meaning, our experiences shape us, right?
Yes.
A while ago, I was touched by, how you related your experience while doing a news coverage. You were thinking of your grandparents in Cabalanchan, but you had to, we almost cried together, talking about those. Tears do not necessarily mean weakness, right? And when we cry about, thinking about or recalling those experiences, it only means that they remained in our hearts, and we in fact were strengthened by those experiences as human beings. Can you share with us how your humanity was basically affected by your experiences during Pinatubo?
Pinatubo made me believe in God. I mean,
Mhm.
we were raised by the Benedictine, and of course, we
Yes.
believe in God. But
Mhm.
in all the disasters I've been through, I I got confronted with uh,
Mhm.
from from a landslide, almost getting you in 5 minutes, more than ever before. In all of my encounters, especially Pinatubo, I believe more than ever in the omnipotent, in God, because I
Mhm.
just tell him, you you take care of me so I could take care of
Mhm.
other people.
Yeah. Mhm.
I never got sick, not even once. Not
Mhm.
the volunteers that I had that are working with me. And not only that, if I ask God during those times, God, let us all live through this. Don't let harm happen to my volunteers because they were minors. But
Mhm.
their parents, by the way, a salute to all the parents of my volunteers at that time. I
Mhm.
took them home when it was
Mhm.
already possible.
Mhm.
One by one, I was returning them to the parents. After it was already sometime in July, after the first few weeks, it was possible to travel. None of the parents accepted their children back to them. They told me, Mom, you can have our children with you. You will
Mhm.
not, don't worry. Whatever happens, that is God. So their
Mhm.
faith in God, my faith in God, allowed us all to live and
Mhm.
serve beyond Pampanga,
Mhm.
Tarlac,
Mhm.
Zambales, and wherever we were needed.
Mhm.
It, those who have been through disasters, I tell you, there is a God who sees. There is a God who waits and sees how you respond to a situation.
Mhm.
And by how you respond and how strong your faith is
Yeah.
how you will be opening doors of
Yeah.
safety or disaster.
Yeah. Okay. I almost cried there.
I cried.
Yeah, Mom says, this is my last question to you. Um, it's been an hour, since we started talking. If you
Really?
could, yeah, if you could speak to your younger self, the journalist who stood in the middle of history in 1991 and thereafter, what would you tell her today? What would you tell the younger Cecile Yumul?
Cecile, you did right by defying your dada from time to time. And I'm sure they would understand now in the later years when Pinatubo happened. Defiance is not disrespecting the
Mm-mm.
father. It's not disrespecting your father, Cecile. It is because you were the only girl and you were the youngest. And you were the one who was always getting out of the house when your dada says, stay in the house. And before your dada knows it, you were out there in EDSA. You were out there ducking. Uh, it's all right, Cecile. You did right. And I know you did right because God took care of you. And the older me can tell you right now that you took the right path.
I'd like to thank you, first of all, for accepting this invitation. I wish I heard your lecture at the Holy Angel University a few days ago, but I'm sure I'll be able to read, the proceedings later on. But let us say goodbye to our audience for now. 35 years later, the headlines may have faded, but the memories remain. And thank you, uh, veteran broadcaster Cecile Yumul, for recalling your experiences. and sharing them with us. As we remember Mount Pinatubo, we also honor a journalist who stood as witnesses to history and helped preserve the stories of ordinary people living through extraordinary times. Cecile Yumul, thank you for sharing your memories with us and for reminding us that journalism is not only about reporting events. It is also about preserving our collective memory. To our viewers, thank you for joining us on this special edition of So to Speak. I am Sonia P. Soto. Good day and thank you for watching.
Usapang bayan, balitang napapanahon, mga isyu sa lipunan, sabay nating tutukton. Mula sa kalsada hanggang sa online eksena, mga kwentong pinag-uusapan, binibigyan.